Hi, we're on day 17 of the challenge, and I can see that there is a very dramatic improvement. Number one, there's really no resistance about just switching on the camera and doing my thing. And in fact, I was thinking that maybe I should try to do this in public so that I can eliminate another layer of self-consciousness. Like, what is really stopping me from doing this in the lobby of my building, at the reception area where people might be coming and going? Like, if I'm happy to be seen by people online, then I should be happy to be seen by people in my environment as well. So yeah, perhaps that is the next challenge for me. I might try it soon. And in terms of, like, I'm watching the video back and I'm getting better at looking at the camera. And I notice that when I'm thinking about something, or I still look away, I look down, I do this thing. And it does, as a viewer, it does take me out of the experience. So I'm really trying to be mindful about this. Also, the video for day 15 has got 65 views. Now, I don't know how this happened. We were sitting at anywhere between 4 and 12, and I was very pleased with myself. But this one is at 65 views. And again, I'm not doing this exercise for the views. I'm not really checking all of that. But when I go to upload the next day's video, I can't help but see the previous in my content list. So I am starting to see how this could work. How, if you just make 200 videos, just upload a video online every day for the rest of your life. For 200 days, that your life could actually change. I'm starting to see how that could be possible, because I know what that video is about. It was that women should prioritize pleasure in their lives. And that is something that I feel very passionately about. So it's possible that I spoke more passionately about it, that my video was more engaging, but it could also have been that just the topic was interesting for people. And that is aligned with, because I'm passionate about it, I think about it, I write about it, I read about it, I have a lot to say on that subject. So I'm starting to see that there is some kind of a correlation between my inner world and the outer world, or like what I wish to put out there and what the world is reflecting back to me. Because I do feel very strongly about this. I thought that these experiences that I've had were because I grew up as an Indian woman, as a South Asian woman, that our culture doesn't prioritize female pleasure, does not prioritize female autonomy, is very male-centered, so women don't know how to be at the center of their own lives or their own minds. But when I started posting the first few videos on Instagram about this topic, I saw that this is a universal problem. This is not just a South Asian woman problem. This is not an Indian women problem. This is a universal, women all over the world are having the same experience. So I think what's going to happen is at the end of the 30 days, when I actually sit back and look at the metrics, and I will share those with you as well, I'll be able to see kind of where these two fields converge. What did people like the most, and what do I like the most? Because at the end of the day, I'm doing this for myself, is for my self-expression, to feel better and lighter in myself, to have respect for myself, that I'm not keeping things bottled up here, that when I feel like I have something of value to share, I'm sharing it. I'm not here to make content as such. So with that in mind, today's topic is actually something quite similar. I have kind of kept this one under wraps. I don't talk about it too much unless it's like one-on-one and I'm close with people. But really at this point, as I said, I'm turning 40 years old. I don't have a lot of fucks left to give. So let's get into it. I think women should lead with sex. I think we are really doing ourselves a disservice as women by not exploring this. So I saw this reel on Instagram where it's like how Scandinavian people do dating. And it's like this man approaches a woman, they make eye contact, and then the second beat is that they are in bed and he's getting out of bed and walking out of a room, and he says, hey, would you like to get a coffee? And then the third beat is they sit down at a cute cafe, they're very cutely dressed, and he tells her his name, and then she tells him hers. And I looked at the comments under that video, and it's like, oh, this is what happens in a society when people have forgotten God, have forgotten religion, have forgotten their morals. This is just like animals. Okay. I think there is a lot of value in doing it like that, because we are animals. We really are. All of the rest of it is just decoration. And what that means is there are instincts in your body that are very old, that are very primal, and that tell you the truth, right? And I'm sorry that this video is going to be all over the place, because I haven't really sat to organize my thoughts or structure how I want to say this. And I probably will do this again more neatly when the challenge is up. And I'm going to get into actually uploading videos about things I care about. But let's start with the notion of the body cannot lie. It always speaks the truth. You cannot lie. And conversely, words are very cheap. Words are very deceptive. Somebody can say something and mean something completely different. And you will not know that difference unless you go through that experience, and sometimes a very painful experience with that individual. And that's when you learn that, oh, they didn't exactly mean what they said. Whereas with your body, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're thinking, whatever you think of yourself, it shows on your body. You can't hide it, right? So when you go on a date with a man and he's talking to you and he's telling you where he works and how many children he saved in Africa and how feminist he is and how all of the stuff, it's very, very easy to be taken by that. He can tell you about how he believes women deserve princess treatment and his woman is going to get the best of everything, and how he's been to therapy and he's very emotionally aware and mature and available and all the rest of it. Men can say whatever shit. Okay. But the truth is that if you get into bed with that man, and if you're really paying attention, really truly paying attention, he will reveal who he is. Because in bed, all bets are off. There is nothing to hide. There is nowhere to hide. He will show you his hand. So if he is a generous lover, you will know. If he is self-conscious, you will know. If he has low self-esteem, you will know. If he is selfish, you will know. If he cares more about his pleasure than yours, you will know. You can tell a lot about a man just by going to bed with him. And I feel like it's more efficient time-wise as well, because you can go to bed with somebody and you will have learned some very important information about them in 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, right? But at the end of it, you've learned that information about this person, and you almost have it with like 100% accuracy that you have this information about this person. Whereas if you go on a date with a man, you could be yapping for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and you could be doing that for fucking 6 months and not know this information about this man. You wouldn't know unless it really comes, like push comes to shove, and then you find that he abandons you in that moment, or he puts himself first ahead of your needs when you really needed him. That's when you're going to find out. So I think it's very efficient time-wise to start with sex. I think also now for it to work, for this to actually work for you as a woman, right, 2 conditions need to be met. One is that you need to be very sensitive in your body. You need to be very tuned into your pleasure. You need to be tuned into your body. That's when you will be able to pick up all of the subtle cues, right? And I'm really talking like really being attentive, right? Because sex can be very functional. Like a man can just grab you and do the deed and he's done. And you might have experienced some pleasure, and then you start like, I don't know what you start to project onto him. But there's things like this seems like a little touch that's superfluous. It's not necessary for the sex, but he's touching you like that anyway, like, you know, the back of your arm. And that touch lingers a little bit longer than it needs to, or eye contact that lingers a little bit longer than it needs to, stuff like that. And you're going to miss it if you're not attentive, if you're not used to being in your body. You're not going to pick up on these cues. You're not going to notice when he's being the opposite of generous with his affections or his attentions and so on. So this kind of sensitivity can only be developed if you've actually done the work and you have developed that type of sensitivity within your body. That means that your needs are met. You know when your body is trying to speak to you, what it needs, what it's telling you, and so on. Without this sensitivity, this is not going to work. The second thing is, you have to have a certain level of detachment about this, right? So women are like, oh, they get very attached emotionally after they sleep with a man, and then they start to project all of their whatever, right? And all of this like bonding happens. And once you've slept with him and now it's too late, and now I personally think that happens because we are treating sex like a prize. So what happens is you've already gone on 3 or 4 dates with him. So now you have some expectations built in your mind. You want to like him. So you will have sex with him. And then if it's sort of even a passing grade, you'll put up with it. Or you will ignore these type of very subtle red flags that, oh, you know, he didn't touch you as gently or as kindly or as lovingly as he could have done. You're going to miss those things because you have you want him to win. You have a vested interest. You want to see this man succeed. You want to like him. So you're going to overlook those things. So I feel like that's why. And the longer you wait, like the 3, 4, 5 months before you go to bed with him, all this purity culture stuff, then you're just more likely to actually become very strongly attached with him when you sleep with him. Conversely, if you don't know much about him, apart from you had one nice coffee and you're like, all right, fine, I like the way he looks. And by the way, that is foundational for a relationship. You have to want to put them through the mattress. Okay. Because that's what it means. That's the romantic relationship. And all of your other relationships, you have friends, you have family, you have like colleagues, you have whatever. The only thing separating this relationship from those is that you're sleeping with this person. So you better fucking like it. You better want it, right? This isn't some obligation, some chore that you have to like go through. You deserve pleasure. This is what I'm saying. Women should prioritize their pleasure. They should put that front and center, right? So I think if you go to bed with a man quickly, you just sort of know you like his face and he gives you a nice vibe, whatever, go straight to the full vibe check. Now, you don't know much about him. You don't have an interest in this one way or another. If he turns out to be not what you want, or you just get a off feeling that you can't quite place, you haven't lost anything. You're like, well, this was fun. Thank you very much for your time, but I don't want to do it again. Cool. Or if you liked him, then you can decide like, okay, you want to get to know him better and see like, now trying like working backwards. You've identified a good character trait, him being generous. Now you want to collect other pieces of data that back this hypothesis. So, and you know, like, don't come at me. If this is not how you want to do it, nobody's telling you to do it. I'm not forcing you, right? I'm saying that this is what worked for me. This is my opinion, and I'm sharing it because I'm sure there are other people who are wired like me and could really benefit from this, because something that held me back a lot in this pursuit was the shame that I had inherited from my culture. So when I was a lot younger, in my 20s, I was really shamed for enjoying sex or wanting sex. It's like, how can you do that, you know? That's something that's like a privilege between a man and his wife and so on. So what happens is then in your search for a partner, instead of truly following that animal instinct that is like 300,000 years old and is honed over millennia of evolution across all of our animal cousins into this very fine-tuned instrument, instead of using that, now you're using your mind, which was built by fucking men, because you grew up in the patriarchy, right? So your mind doesn't belong to you. You don't know what the fuck you actually want or need. You don't know who you are outside of that system. The system is the patriarchy. Whatever you want, what you desire is what the patriarchy has told you you are allowed to desire and should desire. So you've got blinkers on before you even start, and you're not even aware of it. So now you're looking for dumb shit things in this man, which are not necessarily going to give you pleasure. This is a fail. The other thing now is, the truth of the matter is that you're going to have great sex with somebody that you're having frequent sex with, right? So the longer you're with somebody, the better the sex is going to get, because you learn each other's bodies. You, it's just experience, like experience on the job, like in a particular position, so to speak, right? So you get very good at it. So if you're optimizing for your pleasure, you're optimizing for sexual satisfaction, what happens is you realize very quickly that you have to like this man in between the sex as well. Otherwise, you're not going to want to stick around with him long enough for him to satisfy you again. So indirectly, you're optimizing for all of the correct things. Like if you prioritize just your sexual pleasure, you put that front and center, you actually end up prioritizing all the other things. You will need a man whom you respect and admire and like and love, and those are two different things. You will automatically optimize for those things if you are optimizing for good sex. That's why I saw this interview of Lady Gaga at some award show, and they asked her, like, oh, you're single, what are you looking for in a man? And she's like, a big dick. And she's right. Like that's what gives her sexual satisfaction. And she should put that front and center. Now, obviously, Lady Gaga isn't going to sleep with just anybody who has a big dick. Like, that gets him in the door. Okay? But for him to have continued access to her, for her to continue to be interested in him, he needs to bring a lot else to the table. But she doesn't need to articulate that. She doesn't need to make a shopping list of what she's looking for in a partner. Because if you trust your body, you will find that it is giving you the right answers. When you respect your partner, it shows up in your body in a certain way, in an expansion of your chest, and this warm feeling that you have, and these like feelings of affection, or like warmth, or feeling safe, or whatever have you, right? Again, as I said, this is why you need to set a very healthy baseline so you can recognize these physical sensations, because if you haven't done the work, you are going to misidentify the signals, or you're going to find pleasurable the wrong things. More on that another day. But I was going to say something about the Lady Gaga and optimizing for pleasure. Can't remember. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. Clearly, I feel very passionate about it. Because this is the truth. This is how I actually found the right partner for me, is when I stopped looking with my mind, thinking like, what is society going to think? What are my parents going to think? How much money does he make? How much this and that? Like, when I started optimizing for my pleasure, and my pleasure encompassed a lot of things, not just my sexual satisfaction, but also a sense of ease, a sense of being in my feminine, a sense of like being spoiled when he buys me things or like takes me out, like I focused on my pleasure, my happiness, not what I could do for him, but what he could do for me. I think that's it for today. I enjoyed this. Thank you for joining me. I will see you tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful day, and may this day kiss you full on the lips.